Well, I've actually been thinking about writing a resource guide, like, like an article, but with lots of links and maybe some videos and how-tos and stuff like
Hmm.
that, just to give people a flavor of what can be done in the future
Hmm.
if they want to make a decision to move. But, if you just search on one of the search engines, probably not Google, maybe, maybe Microsoft's Bing.com or DuckDuckGo, you can search and you'll find lots of videos on these alternative
Hmm.
systems.
Hmm.
And that's really a good way to kind of catch up on it. Just watch what somebody else does. They're
Yeah.
holding the phone, they're pressing the buttons, and
Yeah.
they kind of tell you how they got to where they are. It'll give
Yeah.
you an idea, a framework, of what you might be able to do.
Good. Good. And we need to, and I know you're doing this, doing yeoman's job, but we need to start a movement of people that are migrating over from this Google and iPhone platform, and just kind of start a movement where people are getting away from that stuff and going over and kind of giving business to the alternatives. And I think once most people get what you're saying, and hopefully this program will help, then they'll start looking into alternative platforms and moving over to these things, and we'll get a movement of people doing that, which is what is necessary. I think that's what will happen.
Yes, I do too. And, eventually Americans are going to start waking up to this whole, technocracy idea and realize that there are some ways that they can escape the scientific dictatorship and the tracking and control and so on. This is just one area. There's more, but
Yeah.
your smartphone is a very, very personal thing. It's got all your personal data on it. Location data has been tracking you. Even if it doesn't go out of your phone, it's all there. And so, like the drug addict that got kind of inducted into drugs by just taking a little bit or a few doses, whatever, the smartphone is totally addictive.
Yep.
And people have become so addicted to it, it's very
Yep.
hard for them to let go.
Yep, and it's typical. As the saying goes, they have sacrificed their security and safety for convenience, and the boogers that are developing these platforms really for surveillance. They know that when they put these phones out there, they're so convenient. They got so much on them. They know people are going to use them. They know people are going to be stuck to them. I mean, they've known this the entire time, so they know that it is the perfect surveillance tool. Back when I was in the CIA, we used to dream of things like this, and now that I'm recovering, here it is in everybody's hand. It's the perfect bug. Even when it's off, they can activate the microphone and listen to what you're doing. So we're holding the perfect bug in our hands, and we're holding a smartphone. And now, as you're saying, globally, they can trace our movements, where we are, and those that we're in contact with, using COVID as an excuse.
Yes, I want to reiterate again that that the original goal of technocracy, this goes way back to the 1930s, and it's still with us today, unfortunately, was total surveillance.
Mm-hmm.
These people view society as a machine and or a factory floor. And a factory floor must be monitored in order to keep it running correctly. That's their view.
Mm-hmm.
So you put monitors throughout a factory, if this belt or gear breaks or the oil pan gets low or whatever, somebody gets alerted, you go out and fix it before the factory shuts down. Social engineering, as applied to society, requires the same kind of monitoring, but even more. There's no such thing as not enough, as enough data. The data is where the gold is for social engineers. So you could ask the question, well, what level of monitoring and surveillance would be enough for a technocrat to run society and engineer it the way they want to engineer it? The answer is there is no level that you could say that's enough. Never.
Mm-hmm.
If they got down to everything happening on your block, they'd want to know what happens in your house. If they were happy with that, if they got there, they'd want to know everything that's going on with the individuals in the house. And if they got there, that wouldn't be enough. They'd want to know what's going on inside your body. So they might say, well, we need to monitor and manage your health. And, we're now going to be we need to know everything about your body, your genes, your genetic structure, maybe we might change it too, because you might have some bad genes that make you argumentative or not submissive to the government plan. Why, we might even change some of your genetic structure to make you more compatible with the rest of society. This is really crazy stuff. But to a technocrat mind, you can never, ever drill down deep enough to say, I'm done. And so that's why we see all these things. They just keep drilling down further and further. And now with the concept of all these nasal swabs and the testing for for COVID and everything, I'm not going to give any evidence of this, but I just want you to think about this. I've asked a couple of questions here locally in Phoenix, Arizona, and I have not gotten satisfying answers. But every time you get that swab stuck up your nose, or however you get the COVID test, do you realize that you are contributing genetic material that is unlicensed and unregulated? HIPAA does not apply to you whatsoever.
Your DNA.
That data can be taken back, and your DNA print can be tagged to your record permanently. And what that means to the health experts is that they can take that DNA and analyze your DNA for every perceived weakness or flaw that your DNA contains. And they relate that to other people's DNAs to figure out what's the percentage. You know, looks like Kevin he's probably going to die of a heart attack, for instance. It'd be lucky if he lives until X years and blah, blah, blah. Oh, just wait until the insurance companies get a hold of stuff like that, Kevin. If you try and get an insurance policy, you're not going to find anybody who's going to write it, because why should we? God's going to die next year.
I mean, the depths that this could go, this may sound crazy to some, but it is technically happening. And the thing about these people, and you hear the talk now of AI and how expansive AI is and is getting, and with a technocrat, like you're saying, they don't have a moral center. They don't have a moral compass with them. It's all more technology going deeper and deeper, like you say. And you probably know about this, but there's an actual Microsoft patent out there that I found that is designed to measure our biofunctions, our body heat, our blood pressure, and tie that to digital currency. I had to read it 3 times just to make sure that it was real. I mean, this, you're right, Pat, this stuff is out there. They're doing this, they're planning this, and what you're saying is documented. I mean, this is insane, but it's happening.